Ryan Reynolds has long been the darling of Hollywood, charming, generous, and seemingly incapable of bad behavior. Fans fell in love with his humor and the playful banter he shares with wife Blake Lively. The world saw him as a down-to-earth Canadian who donated millions to charity and launched viral feel-good moments. Yet even the brightest personas can harbor shadows. A swirl of accusations has dragged Reynolds into a messy legal battle, one so startling it has fans questioning if they ever really knew him. At the center stands a lawsuit filed by Blake Lively against director-producer Justin Baldoni, with Baldoni countering that Ryan orchestrated a campaign to remove him from his own project. Is Ryan merely protecting his wife? Or could the man behind those charming jokes be pulling unseen strings? Today, we're peeling back the layers, the suspicious rewrites, rumored sabotage, and staged PR that may be shredding Ryan's squeaky-clean image. Ryan Reynolds' ascent from teenage soap star to comedic icon can't be discounted as mere luck. In his early career, he took roles that emphasized his affable, goofy side, often playing characters who balanced wit with an endearing clumsiness. He exuded a sense of approachability, the fun friend everyone hoped to have. On talk shows, he perfected the art of self-deprecation, transforming potential critiques into laugh lines. Part of what propelled him was his willingness to engage fans directly. He replied to random tweets, shared lighthearted family anecdotes, and publicly supported worthy causes. He didn't just donate money, he also used his massive platform to rally fans around social or humanitarian issues, cementing the perception that he was a celebrity who genuinely cared. When Deadpool hit theaters and shattered expectations, Ryan's reputation skyrocketed. The film gave him the perfect platform to showcase his brand of sharp humor, forever linking his real-life persona to the wisecracking Marvel anti-hero. For many, that was the moment he solidified his status not only as a blockbuster star, but also as an everyday champion of comedic relief. Still, building and maintaining such a polished image in an industry as cutthroat as Hollywood often involves more than meets the eye. While fans saw spontaneity, critics noted that everything Ryan did seemed meticulously crafted to amplify his likability. One subtle example was how he teased Blake on social media, always borderline silly, yet never crossing into mean-spirited territory. It was a gentle dance that resonated with millions, further elevating the perfect couple narrative. But perfection can be a fragile construct, especially in a landscape where rumors and lawsuits can overturn public perception overnight. When Justin Baldoni stepped forward with accusations that Ryan was meddling in a major project, the once infallible star began to look a bit more human and possibly far more calculating.
And that to me is the goosebump moment. That's the thing that I feel most proud of in this movie.
Justin Baldoni is no stranger to earnest storytelling. He directed and produced projects centered around emotional depth and raw human experiences. So, when he secured the rights to adapt Colleen Hoover's novel, It Ends With Us, fans believed he was the right person to tackle the topic of domestic abuse. His sensitivity as a filmmaker made him a logical choice for a narrative that demanded empathy and nuance. Pairing Baldoni's directorial vision with Blake Lively's star power seemed like a recipe for success. She was cast as the lead, and early buzz suggested they were collaborating harmoniously. However, behind the scenes, tension brewed. Multiple sources claimed Blake wanted producer-level input, which Baldoni hadn't initially agreed to. She allegedly started suggesting storyline changes and comedic punches that felt incongruous with the novel's heavier themes. News of Blake's lawsuit blindsided many, especially because she cited a toxic environment on set. The Hollywood rumor mill took off, speculating that maybe Baldoni was resisting a woman's creative influence. Headlines read like a David and Goliath story, a rising female star butting heads with the director who held the original rights. But Baldoni hit back hard in his countersuit, revealing a twist. It wasn't just Blake pushing for control, but Ryan Reynolds himself working from the sidelines. This pivot turned a previously standard production dispute into a potential scandal of betrayal. Baldoni alleged that Ryan's pull in Hollywood, considerable thanks to his recent successes and brand partnerships, created an atmosphere in which Baldoni felt professionally cornered. Those who initially rallied behind Blake suddenly found themselves questioning how she was being influenced by Ryan. Was she truly championing her own artistic vision, or did Ryan have an agenda that aligned more with comedic beats and star-driven marketing? These questions took the conflict beyond a typical actor-director spat, especially once specifics started to leak in the form of alleged text messages and hush-hush production notes. A-listers often offer input on scripts, especially if they're marquee names. But Baldoni's counterclaim painted a picture of Ryan bulldozing over established creative boundaries. In his telling, Ryan demanded comedic rewrites that clashed with the story's intense subject matter. Baldoni felt it wasn't merely a series of harmless suggestions. Ryan was pushing for total creative sway that would overshadow both Baldoni's directorial authority and the spirit of the novel. Perhaps more unsettling is Baldoni's assertion that Ryan orchestrated covert efforts to tarnish Baldoni's reputation in Hollywood circles. Rumors swirled that Ryan, through well-placed phone calls and private meetings, labeled Baldoni as difficult or inexperienced, aiming to make him radioactive to studios. As a result, potential collaborators distanced themselves, unwilling to antagonize an industry heavyweight like Reynolds. Skeptics might dismiss Baldoni's allegations as attempts to salvage his image, but the saga intensified when Blake Lively casually admitted on camera that Ryan had written a major scene. Fans who read the novel questioned why comedic bits, rumored to be Ryan's contributions, were creeping into a story about domestic violence. If the director intended to keep the story true to its gritty subject matter, any forced levity might have felt like a betrayal to the original tone. The stakes grew more serious as real-world implications surfaced. Domestic abuse survivors who cherished the novel worried that comedic flourishes might trivialize their experiences. Baldoni's side doubled down, insisting Ryan's arrogance in reshaping the script proved he was more invested in brand synergy than empathetic storytelling. And because Ryan made no official public statement, speculation thrived. Did silence mean guilt? Or was he simply following legal advice to avoid inflaming the dispute? Just as the lawsuit drama hit a fever pitch, a bizarre incident unfolded on a New York street, one that felt almost too ridiculous to be true. Ryan emerged from an event only to be surprised by a group of fans holding identical homemade signs begging for his autograph. Strangely, not one had a phone out. Internet detectives quickly concluded that the entire encounter looked staged. The insinuation was that Ryan's team orchestrated the spectacle to distract from the Baldoni controversy. A wave of TikTok and Twitter chatter followed, with memes mocking Rent-A-Fan Ryan or labeling him the Great Pretender. PR experts weighed in, noting that contrived fan events are an age-old strategy in showbiz, but rarely are they so blatantly obvious. The real damage wasn't the staged nature itself, but the blow to Ryan's credibility. Up until this moment, he had a reputation for spontaneous wit and genuine public interactions. If that authenticity was now in doubt, fans wondered what else might be a facade. Some who defended Ryan began to see the fiasco as a red flag that maybe he was indeed capable of the manipulative tactics Baldoni claimed. Behind the scenes, insiders hinted that Ryan was trying to pivot the narrative back to his enduring popularity. If fans saw him as the same old fun-loving actor who enjoyed meeting admirers, they might forget the swirling accusations. Unfortunately, the plan seemingly backfired, pouring fuel on a fire that was already raging. Initially, the blame rested squarely on Blake Lively's shoulders, mainly because she launched the first legal salvo at Baldoni. She described an environment where her creative ideas were dismissed or marginalized, and tabloids framed her as a woman bravely challenging an entrenched industry hierarchy. To some, it felt like a long overdue shift in power dynamics. Yet, Baldoni's countersuit flipped the narrative. He argued Blake was essentially a front for Ryan's big-picture ambitions. According to this perspective, she demanded rewrites at Ryan's urging and used accusations of a toxic environment to seize control when Baldoni resisted. For fans of the original book, the abrupt comedic detours in the story became suspect. Were they truly Blake's ideas, or attempts to incorporate Ryan's trademark humor? Adding to the complexity, Blake's previously effusive praise of Baldoni soured overnight. She went from calling him a brilliant collaborator to labeling him combative. Some observers noted that her tone shifted soon after Ryan allegedly got more involved. Did Blake genuinely change her mind about Baldoni's capabilities, or was she echoing her husband's stance? Another dimension is the couple's financial clout. They have extensive brand deals, production connections, and a potent social media reach. If Baldoni refused to give ground, might that threaten his future prospects? Blake and Ryan's combined power made it risky for any studio or agency to side against them, a dynamic Baldoni alluded to as he described feeling cornered. The moral debate raged among fans. Was Blake championing female creativity, or was she knowingly co-opting Ryan's comedic style for a project that required sensitivity? The question of her intentions remained foggy, but the trust many placed in her as a down-to-earth celebrity began to wane. In an industry fixated on image, few things matter more than how a star is perceived. Ryan's philanthropic record once served as an impenetrable shield. People could dismiss minor complaints by pointing to his consistent good deeds. But the swirling drama with Baldoni tested even Ryan's staunchest defenders. Entertainment outlets dove into the behind-the-scenes details, with headlines such as, "Could Ryan's ego sink an entire adaptation?" or, "When good PR goes bad, inside Reynolds' fan fiasco." YouTube commentators had a field day dissecting each rumor, from the alleged blacklisting efforts to the comedic rewrites. Many pointed out the irony of Ryan's brand being so open and real, contrasting sharply with stories of covert manipulation.
Accused of staging outing where he signed autographs amid Blake Lively Justin Baldoni legal.
Pathetic. Oh.
So Ryan Reynolds obviously has to be deported back to. The moral crimes committed here by Ryan Reynolds against Justin Baldoni have amounted to high treason.
Meanwhile, Baldoni's reputation wasn't spared. He was suddenly under a spotlight that no longer guaranteed sympathy. Some wondered if he was exaggerating claims for attention or using Ryan's fame to generate headlines for himself. But if he truly felt squeezed out of his own movie, it's understandable why he went public. Ryan's team tried to refocus on his charitable work, promoting philanthropic actions like hospital fundraisers and humanitarian donations. Normally, these moves would resonate positively, but critics rolled their eyes, seeing them as attempts to shift public dialogue. The suspicion was that behind the charity facade lay a strategic push to bury scandalous accusations. For Ryan, the problem wasn't just negative press, it was the perception that he'd orchestrate such deception in the first place.
I just can't imagine what it feels like to be told that you got to leave your home, let alone with 15 minutes notice. We were just feeling a tremendous amount of empathy for the displaced families in Ukraine. So.
You know what? This entire production needs to be halted. I don't trust my wife, okay? And my strongest inclination for that was the fact that on the day that the SAG-AFTRA strike ended, on the day that both of them had to go back to work, meaning Ryan had to go back to film for Wolverine and Deadpool, Wayfarer gets that shocking email of demands, and basically their production gets suspended while Ryan gets to go in the UK and feel confident knowing that she's not going to see Justin Baldoni until he's back. That was just my speculation. Well, in the recent filing, we can now see that Ryan was panicked in general about him being apart from Blake Lively, so much so that when they first communicated with one another, okay, so this is the first time that Ryan Reynolds and Justin Baldoni are speaking to one another, and they're exchanging text messages, and Justin Baldoni does this thing where he's just like so nice and was like, he literally, to sum it up, because I'm not going to read Justin's entire text, he basically is like, I was nervous to even text you. I'm such a fan of you. Like, you're so.
One aspect rarely discussed is the potential harm to the final film. A story about domestic violence demands a delicate hand, yet comedic elements apparently keep creeping in. Could studios face backlash if they release a film that tonally misrepresents such serious subject matter? Some industry insiders are reportedly wary of touching it until the legal dust settles. It's a lose-lose scenario, a beloved novel caught in the crossfire of warring egos and PR disasters. With lawsuits flying back and forth, It Ends With Us finds itself in limbo. Devotees of the novel are disillusioned, unsure if the adaptation will capture the emotional brutality of the source material.
Lively, it was Ryan Reynolds, this was their strategy, and now they kind of want to put the genie back in the bottle, but guess what? The genie does not want to go back in the bottle.
Some question whether Baldoni even wants to remain attached, given how toxic the production became. Others believe he's fighting to maintain creative control because he still cares deeply about the material's integrity. Blake Lively's original complaint remains active, though she's spoken less about it publicly in recent months. The narrative around her has drastically changed. Instead of being hailed for championing women's voices, she's now seen by some as part of an opportunistic duo, using the lawsuit to wrestle creative power away from Baldoni. Ryan, on the other hand, has tried to resume his brand's normalcy. Publicly, he cracks jokes on social media and continues to prop up comedic ventures, doing cameos or cameo rumors for other Marvel projects. But behind the scenes, the swirl of depositions and potential evidence leaks continues. Industry insiders speculate that a settlement might be the only way for both parties to save face, though neither side shows any sign of blinking first.
And I guess you've already met Mary Poppins, aka Dog Pool. Careful where you put your hand. She's 90% G-spot, and she'll let you know it. You let this little flirt out of your sight for 1 second, and she starts shopping for a new papa. If you can't be a responsible pet owner, then maybe you don't deserve this little unicorn. Guilty on all charges, Your Honor.
Is going, nothing in this scene is funny. Nothing in this scene makes sense. Why is he alleging that his wife is trying to place him in a skit which is promoting domestic violence?
The longer the conflict drags on, the more it chips away at Ryan's carefully built public persona. Major players in Hollywood rely on good relationships and trust to get deals done. If the bald accusations of sabotage stick, Ryan could see a frosty reception from certain producers and directors who won't want to risk a behind-the-scenes turf war. There's also the matter of the broader cultural conversation. In an era where social media can amplify any scandal, fans and critics alike demand accountability. If Ryan never addresses the allegations head-on, cynicism may permanently color how people view him, no matter how many philanthropic gestures he makes. Social media has become a tribunal of public opinion. Fans who once worshipped Ryan Reynolds have transformed into digital sleuths, combing through interviews and paparazzi shots for any sign of inconsistency. Some have posted side-by-side comparisons of Ryan's comedic tone against sensitive lines from the novel, demonstrating how out of place his humor might be in a domestic violence narrative. Others analyze Blake's historical interviews to pinpoint when she started echoing suspiciously Ryan-like comedic flourishes.
Lately, everyone is bashing Blake Lively, but apparently the true villain in this saga is...
Then there's the wave of supporters for Baldoni, who scour industry forums and gossip sites for clues that prove Ryan orchestrated a blacklisting campaign. They track the defunct film deals or suddenly quiet collaborations that seem to vanish once rumors about friction with Ryan began swirling. It's a fascinating phenomenon, real-time, crowdsourced detective work, all happening under the glare of modern media. This fan-driven sleuthing can influence broader public discourse. It puts more pressure on celebrities to control the narrative, but also means that every slip can become a trending story within minutes. Ryan, who once thrived on going viral for comedic bits, now faces the darker side of online virality. Scrutiny so intense that any staging or manipulative tactic might be exposed immediately. Ryan Reynolds was once an untouchable figure, funny, approachable, and relentlessly generous. But as legal entanglements and PR missteps mount, the glow around him has dimmed. Did the demands of stardom and protecting a brand push him into questionable territory? Or are these revelations part of a typical Hollywood spat blown out of proportion? Nothing can erase his record of charitable actions and comedic talent. But a question now hovers. If his philanthropic persona is choreographed, what parts of Ryan are genuinely sincere and what parts are carefully engineered? The staged fan encounter shook people's trust, and Baldoni's countersuit further undermined confidence in the beloved actor. Justin Baldoni, for his part, stands at a crossroads. Either salvage his film by ousting meddling forces, or watch it slip away under a storm of publicity he never wanted. Even if he wins in court, the overshadowing presence of Lively and Reynolds might taint the final product, leaving fans unsure of whether the adaptation retains the original heart of the novel. Hollywood has seen plenty of redemption arcs. Ryan could eventually re-emerge with a heartfelt explanation, or blame an overzealous PR strategy for the missteps. Whether viewers will accept such a pivot remains uncertain. In an era of heightened awareness, it's harder than ever for celebrities to spin controversies once they've been laid bare. For now, audiences watch and wait. They weigh the comedic genius they've adored against the troubling tales of sabotage and manipulation. The verdict is still out, but one lesson stands. Behind Tinseltown's warm smiles, ambition, and hidden motives can unravel even the most seemingly unassailable reputations. Thank you for watching, and remember, in a business built on illusion, just one unexpected twist can reveal how easily Hollywood's brightest stars can lose their shine.